Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spincast Cycling Show. I'm your host, Brian Kelson, with Lisa Reese, Brian White, special guest, Casey Schumm. Let's get into it. MyWhoosh is no longer MyWhoosh Go. It's actually losing the Go and being MyWhoosh. And then the regular MyWhoosh is going to MyWhoosh HD. And I don't know, you want to play the video first, and we come back and talk about the video, or?
Well, they've announced a bunch of new worlds, so
New world, yes. I think we touched on it a little bit last week.
Yeah,
but
we have confirmation of California, and I don't know how to say it, but it's like Hydriat. Those two are coming for sure, and there's supposed to be at least one more world.
heard someone say it was like hydrant.
Well, yeah,
it's like the aquatic center. Let's just go with aquatic center. I think it's like a fictitious. It's like a is it? It's not a real world with like.
I don't know.
Like the Maldives or something, where it's got like it's like went to this was it Seychelles Islands, but it's like the aquatic center. It's like a fictitious place where there's a lot more water, like bridges and then probably tunnels and stuff.
Didn't somebody already do a water expansion?
Oh goodness, let's play back here. Uh-oh, everybody. I'll talk over it. Yeah, so see how there's like it's a lot of it's like marshlands where they have bridges over it. A lot of palm trees. It looks kind of like the beach on the final beach fight on Rogue One, right, Brian?
Yeah.
It's the final battle on Rogue One. So there's a lot of like high rise stuff. Oh, then there's some serious. Epcot Center is over there on the left.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know how.
There you go, Brian.
Oh, Velodrome.
Favorite.
The Velodrome. Yes.
Great.
So
Veruvi did no, Be Cold did a good Velodrome.
It's a real island, and it's basically like a amusement park style island. It's all basically what you got seen in game, all the amusement parks and BMX tracks and whatever. That's what this little island is. It's a real place off of, what did it say, Abu Dhabi, I think.
So it's okay. So it's like the man-made.
Yeah, if I read it right,
there's like man-made island off of that the tour of. It used to be like whatever it was, like that sort of like spiraled kind of. It's very nautical. It's a very nautical theme, maybe, or Nautilus, like a Nautilus theme, where it kind of spirals out. It's like an island that's built up from the desert.
Yeah, I can't actually. I don't know exactly where it is in like Abu Dhabi, like the downtown area, what you think about, but it showed me right there of that area, one of these little islands off of the downtown area.
Okay.
I just thought it was fictitious as well. I did not realize it was real. So there we go.
Al Huday Riyadh Island in the United Arab Emirates.
Okay. Somebody has the internet. Just looked it up.
Yeah.
Welcome, Casey. It's been a while.
How's it going?
So what do we think? What do we think of new stuff? We kind of bring it up here all the time. Like new stuff is kind of what we want, but then
I think from that video footage, it looked awesome.
Yeah,
MyWhoosh does a pretty good job with
that, and California in like a month.
Yeah, that in California. California has 9 to 60 kilometers in it. So basically, you're getting a 60-kilometer world. And then I haven't seen stats on the Carnival land yet, but just think about this: we're getting a world with California with 60 kilometers, and then the new, aquatic center.
Just call it.
And then last August we got Belgium in MyWhoosh. So in what is that?
And Australia too, right? Is Australia newer than Belgium?
It's been around, I think 2022.
Okay.
I looked it up, and it's been around for longer than I thought, honestly. But yeah, I'm super stoked. And the main world within MyWhoosh, Arabia.
Arabia or Alula are the two.
Yeah.
I remember the two main ones. Yeah.
They're enormous. There's a 100K route that is pretty much, I think it's like essentially you're only doubling back on about 20 kilometers. It's where you're climbing. And then inside of that, there's a huge amount of roads you're not even touching. Whereas Zwift, you got to crisscross, zigzag, reverse over to even get 100K. So it's kind of impressive how big these worlds are. And I'm very, very excited. Something with this update, it's coming early this week. Like as we said, the MyWhoosh Go, which is the light version, and essentially the MyWhoosh, whatever.
Originally MyWhoosh, and now it's going to be MyWhoosh HD.
Yeah, what has to happen is, from my understanding, you have to delete the app and then completely reinstall it, is from what the admin on the MyWhoosh Facebook page says. So like, say if
you get an email too, you get an email. Yeah, I don't know if you got the email, but I think if you're a registered user, you get an email that explains how to do it.
I may have got it, but I didn't look at my email today, personal email today. So yeah, it's exciting. Now within this update, there's something coming that Scott and I briefly talked about on the stream. Scott
National
Cunningham,
champion,
yes,
national
the champ. How do you guys feel about this? We all moan about the new XP update with Zwift.
Oh no.
MyWhoosh is going to allow you to import your data.
Oh yeah, I love it.
What?
No,
you love it. Come on.
I love it because it pisses all you guys off that care about XP.
Jeez.
I love it.
It's nothing to do with the XP. It's all about, all right, Scott's level 25. I saw Morgan today was level 16 and I'm level 12. Scott's put time in it. Like, so what's the point of just uploading your stuff from somewhere else?
So think of it like a rewards program for like frequent flyer miles. Let's say you could take your frequent flyer miles.
Yeah, but like Delta doesn't let you use frequent flyer miles.
But a competing company is like, hey, we want the Delta customers. We're going to offer
for sure though.
That's what MyWhoosh is doing. I'm not saying it's like, oh, it's whatever, but that's the competition. It's not like, oh, is this unfair? No, this is healthy competition for a company going after another company.
I think MyWhoosh is just doing this. I don't think you're going to get XP for your outside rides. What you're going to get is you're going to have one-stop shop like Strava for all of your information. So you actually don't need to go anywhere except MyWhoosh to look at all your rides.
So here's the other spin on that. MyWhoosh is about putting their leagues together, right? Big money ride and all that. If they're offering you something for transferring data, exactly what data are you transferring? Because if you're transferring in fit files, oh, guess what? They just got a year's worth of your power history to better place you in racing. Yeah. So, I mean, there may be other motives behind it. And that's the reward for the user. Yeah, it is not really what they're going for.
Maybe not.
Yeah, because
but
there are, and I didn't realize this, but Scott Cunningham said today that the different bikes and wheels actually do make a difference in MyWhoosh. So if I could get to level, I think he said 24, I can get the fastest wheels. Yeah. And I mean, I didn't put that into MyWhoosh. So I'm going from the point of Scott has that advantage because he's level 25, whereas I'm level 12. So he earned that advantage. Just like those people who had the Tron, they've earned that. Although the Tron's a scam anyway, because bike choice don't matter on Zwift, but but that's just the whole idea. Like I didn't do it on MyWhoosh, so why should I get credit? Even though I double dip the hell out of everything, but
it's just it's a competition. It's a company trying to entice viewers or entice users to come over. I think that's I'm for it, even though I understand that it's like, oh, that's not fair. Competition sometimes isn't fair.
And something else I found out too, that Garmin doesn't recognize MyWhoosh. It doesn't have any integration with MyWhoosh. Basically, from the few things I've read from the
that happens with a lot of companies. A lot of people don't want to pay the Garmin.
Garmin actually charges, I believe, to access their API.
And excuse me, what I'm getting is like they have no interest in working with them. Like Garmin has no interest of working with MyWhoosh for whatever reason, whether they don't want to pay the money, I don't know. But yeah, that was something that if you are you're into that Garmin ecosystem, that may be a deterrent.
So you can't finish a ride in MyWhoosh and send it to Garmin Connect.
No, not easily.
Or you can't load in your Garmin workouts. Like a lot
I'm
of people.
assuming you can upload the fit file, but they won't direct push it for you. You can't connect the apps.
Yeah, and I've seen some people like say it shows up, but the data is like 0 miles per hour or kilometers per hour, however you look at it. So yeah, you've got an hour of riding, and your power and your heart rate's there, but you didn't travel anywhere. So that's kind of how with the fit file that Garmin reads it.
I think that was the same case with RGT.
Yeah, maybe.
I always ran my head unit, so all the rides that I would do in RGT didn't exist in Garmin Connect. It was only one thing. Strava took everything, so I'd have duplicate things. I would have Garmin Connect, and then I would have the Zwift race or the RGT race, and it was always double intervals. The ICU also does double whatever it grabs from Garmin Connect, or it syncs to your Strava. And
Garmin doesn't like third-party data.
No.
So, or Garmin, I guess due to privacy concerns, Garmin won't push third-party data. So what happens is if you do a ride in Zwift, Garmin will accept that ride and go, yep, you did a ride. But Garmin won't push your Zwift ride to intervals or exert or anything where
Garmin
Strava will push to anyone because they don't care. But Garmin will not take someone else's.
Garmin is always a receiver, not a transmitter.
Yeah, it'll push your actual, like if you did indoor ride on your Garmin watch, it will push that to the other programs, but it will not take someone else's data and move it.
So, and here is, the biggest thing that has been fixed with MyWhoosh is that power delay is gone. I've done a ride on June 1st, it was still there. Well, the past 3 days I've rode, and it's
was there
fixed.
an update, or was there like a release notes, or
I have no idea if there was a backend update on the server that fixed it, but like my version is the current version, no new update. So I don't know.
I'm anxious to check that out because that was my biggest issue. Like I loved everything about it except for I wouldn't race with that kind of delay, and I know that was a lot of people's issue.
So maybe 2 weeks ago, I did a ride on MyWhoosh just after vacation, and free riding, it was pretty okay. There was still a little bit of delay, but it wasn't bad. It was almost right on. Well, Monday, I did an event. It was still there. It annoyed me. Then whatever it was, 3 days ago, whatever that, maybe the 6th, I did a ride. I did a free ride, and it was spot on. And I drafted our friend Raquel. I have no idea if she was a bot or a real human, but it was phenomenal. I drafted her, entered an event. Same thing. I had 3 people holding 4 watts per kilogram, and I'm chilling behind them at 3.2, 3.5, depending on where I was at. But there was no yo-yo, and I was right behind him. I don't know if Lee wants to play, but
good.
Well, actually, we need to play the California map.
Oh, the California?
We didn't actually get into that because I think that's probably
Didn't we play it last week?
Most of you guys know.
We played
only a little teeny. Yeah, the one we did last week was the coming soon, but we're not going to tell you what map.
All right,
this is
I got excited with the draft. But yeah, right. We have a new California video.
Well, the draft is a huge thing for me.
Yes, I agree. I can't wait to see the.
Lee's about ready to get fired as the playback person because this frame rate is terrible.
Only terrible for you. It's like HD for me.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Then the rest on OBS, it's like
all right,
totally
everyone, for the audio only audience, this is San Francisco Spin, so it's essentially San Francisco. That looks like Coit Tower, some sort of like faux looking wharf, Ghirardelli Square stuff. This is Hollywood Hills. Going to Hollywood sign.
Then my favorite part, let's see the space shuttle rocket right here.
Rocket.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's
NASA.
Space shuttle.
NASA's in California, buddy.
There it is.
You go.
Oh, wow. There's NASA in California. There it is. Flying off. Silicon Valley here. Looks like the LA Convention Center, downtown LA. Yeah, that looks definitely like.
Are we getting all these at once? I mean, I'm reading my email.
Early this week.
Early this week, there's that 3.7 update changing the app. So
you're supposed to get California.
Mount Grizzly for everyone. This is more of like a coastline going into mountains.
Okay.
Cave. We're in a cave right now. And then it's
Area
like
52.
Area
Welcome
52 in
to-
California. I don't know if there was aliens in California, but Area 52 is sort of like Joshua Tree / Arizona.
Yeah, this
something.
looks almost Grand Canyon-ish.
Yeah, Grand
Mhm.
Canyon. This is the redwoods. This is kind of
Yeah.
like sequoias, Yosemite.
Excuse me.
Very reminiscent of Titan's Grove, if people know from like Zwift.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sand and sequoias,
Sand
right?
and sequoias, yeah.
Disneyland, basically. They just
Yeah,
without
this
saying
is
Disneyland.
like
Amusement park.
Knott's Berry Farm, Disneyland. So it's an amusement park, ride through an amusement park. Very cool. Lots of detail. Lots of detail, everyone.
This is exciting.
There's a Golden Gate coming off of whatever California World. And then you go into north of the bay. California coming soon.
The MyWhoosh admin on
Pretty
Facebook
impressive.
said California, the water world, that hydrant, and one other one. So we get supposedly 3 worlds in this new update. Which is kind of weird that the main place you can get information for MyWhoosh is from their Facebook page. Majority of the tidbits I come from are just that. There's very little news on MyWhoosh. It's all just from me reading all the comments on the Facebook.
well, and then this is like, 2 decent sized new worlds all at once.
Yeah.
When we were appreciating the fact that Zwift, was going to come out with the grade, but we were talking about this earlier, where the grade technically has, I think we did the math, 13.8 kilometers of new road, but there's 250 kilometers of new routes. And Zwift is like, hey, check out all these new routes. They're so awesome. No, man, I don't want 13K. I want 249 kilometers of new roads for 250 kilometers of new routes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's with MyWhoosh. Like they have a 40-kilometer loop. And then there's who knows how much other roads in that large Arabia world that where you might be able to get 150K without doing a figure 8.
Yeah, didn't you do like a breakdown of like, hey, this is like it was like 60 some K? Or explain your breakdown, because I remember you were telling this is off stream or off show.
So I looked at MyWhoosh and I kind of look at the chunks that didn't overlap with anything else. They were in their own separate route. And I got like, I think it was almost 200-ish kilometers of, they are over the same route. It's not like, say, the Bigfoot Hills where you go kind of zigzag around and back over itself. Whereas for 70K, this was all like the 40 kilometers was this loop. And then off of that, there was another 25 kilometers totally separate. And then another 10 here, another 8 here, another 20. They were not over the same. They never even touched. They were own complete separate. The best that I could come up was Zwift, not going up the Alp. And there was like 4 kilometers of Ocean Boulevard I missed, was 90 kilometers on Watopia. And there was a few pieces that I had to double over. So that is about the most on Zwift, on Watopia, that you can get without, going over the same road,
right,
in an opposite direction.
And Watopia's been out there a lot longer too.
Yeah. In MyWhoosh, you can easily get, I'd say, probably 150K without going over the same road. If you know the map well enough to navigate it that way. I'm just looking at the routes and adding up the chunks of road there.
Competition is fantastic. That breeds sort of innovation between, brands. And I think in the last 2 weeks, MyWhoosh has put Zwift on notice and been like, here's what we're doing.
Yeah,
like,
and fixing physics issues.
Yeah.
Like it's not like, hey, we're trying to cover up the physics things. We're fixing this. But we're also doing content. And we're growing what we're trying to build here.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the physics side, like you're saying, Brian, because my issue when I tested it was I think the physics are actually really good.
Yeah.
The delay just ruins it. Like I felt like the draft was right, the timing was wrong, and if that's fixed, I think it's going to be really good. Now, I guess Brian White, I haven't been into MyWhoosh that much to understand it. I guess explain to me a little bit like your options for. I mean, is this human only? We jumping in with AI, or are we jumping in with bots, or what are the options there for competition?
Well, this is just a free ride, and I'm not. I think there's bots roaming around, but I think there's a lot more humans as well.
Okay.
I did a race. I think the race at the end of this, it was bots because they were holding the exact, 4.0, 4.1, 4.2, all three at the same time.
They weren't AI bots. They weren't like race bots.
Yeah, and I don't remember the event. It happened. There was an event at like 2 minutes after I finished this, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna give it a shot. But the race I did today, there was a human. Scott Cunningham had looked him up, and he was level 21 or something, and he was an actual person. So it was only me and him. And there was 2 other races that I quit yesterday because no one was there. So they aren't putting, maybe just certain events they have the bots, but not all of them. And you can see right here, I'm drafting pretty well off of Raquel here. I mean, she's at 3.8 to 4.2, and I'm just chilling. Now, before you try to do this,
for the audio only audience, we're watching Brian's replay of his stream of where he's sitting in a slipstream.
Well, I haven't seen
and it's like
a single surge.
Yeah, not as many surges as there used to be. Now, there's no, like Lee says, there's no yo-yo and stuff like that. So visually, what we're seeing is he's on the wheel, but you are moving to the left and right. Does that sort of like kick you left and right, and it feels natural, or is it sort of jerky?
Well, I guess I was so focused, and now watching it, the replay of it, I was so focused riding, just of staying close to her. I didn't really notice the left and right aspect.
That's probably if you get too close to the back wheel, like your front wheel. It's sort of like that sort of bubble.
That's what it looked like.
Hitbox, as if
you got a little too close and it pushed you.
It pushes you off to the left or right. Yeah.
And I'm also riding at 100% trainer difficulty, trainer controlled. Unlike normally when I ride Zwift, I'm just using my Wahoo app to hold the resistance.
Okay, were you double dipping when you were doing this?
Yes, because I did a Zwift race.
Can you not do double dipping so you can just get straight? Because maybe Zwift is fixing something and making it better.
He can't.
Oh my God.
Like he's just like, I must.
We have corrupted data here.
Yeah. But you can see here, this hill is the initial kind of like this platform totally sucks before my knee replacement. I was doing this race, and like right here, you hit a bump. Like it hits like 2, 3, 4, 5%. And it levels off. And when it levels off and then ramps back up, when it ramped back up, I would hit the power, or I would need power, and it would be like, oh, hey, it's the flat spot.
Okay, so this is Bluetooth.
Like it was so frustrating.
Are you on Bluetooth on MyWhoosh?
I am on Bluetooth, yes. Bluetooth on MyWhoosh.
So controller and trainer power.
Yeah.
Is Bluetooth. And then Zwift was using Ant Plus.
Yes.
Okay.
The fact that you stayed within proximity of that person without really trying super hard is a win. Because that was the problem, is you had to use all of your concentration might just to stay even remotely close without surging and yo-yoing.
I'm be doing a Sunday race club at 2:00 in the morning coming up.
Well, I watched Barney's race today, and it was phenomenal. Like he bridged. I got in the middle of the race, so I don't know what happened at the beginning, but he was, say, 30 seconds off of 3 guys, and he bridged up, and then he was able to just sit there, recover a little bit, and then went on his way after that. I think he ended up finishing 8th, maybe. It was a heck of a race. He did a lot of work. Okay. Very good. Now, what this right here, you could see my power it's immediately as this gradient drops.
For the audio only audience, the rider in front of him is doing 3.94 watts per kilo, and this is a real person, you believe? No,
I think it's a real person. Yeah,
Raquel Gonzalez, who's Spanish nationality, but they're doing 4.2. You're doing, now you're coming on a little descent here. Yeah, but you are you're not doing the yo-yo thing, which is what we've had in the past, and you are kind of just sitting in. Now you would kind of shuttle to the left or right. That's when you've gotten to, but your power didn't increase. Like you weren't trying to overcompensate, which is what the delay was.
Yeah.
And Casey,
because
the thing is
what you would like, what I would
overcompensating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what I would see would not be what I feel. So like, okay, I got to do this because I see this. And then
Yeah.
it was such a 2 to 3 second delay. It was all over the place.
This is good. Yeah, you're the rider now in front is 3.9. You didn't overcompensate by going like 4 watts per kilo. You went like 2.9, 3.1. So you're like a watt per kilo below, and you're slowly going back into their slipstream. And you visually can see the slipstream off your elbows, or it's either the handlebars or elbows of the avatar, and that shows you the slipstream. I don't know if it shows draft. Oh, so you're not in draft because the green numbers.
Right.
The watt in MyWhoosh, it'll show you the green numbers where your power is if you're in the draft.
But if it says hold the wheel, I think you're still within the little draft bubble.
Okay. Yeah,
because
you're getting help.
Yeah, but
No,
when I'm
now you're in the
truly
green. Yeah,
drafting,
it's like a light green. It's like a lime green. This
Yeah,
is
your
all
power
new
lights
stuff,
up
man. I gotta
green
get
when
on
you're-
this again. I'm into this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think that's where we're at is like we got all these updates coming. We think they fixed some stuff here. I'll be curious. It sounds like maybe some more people are getting into the race club, and I'll be curious to get
there was
the
100
opinions of some of those guys.
Yeah.
160
they're
people in
feeling.
Race Club today.
Yeah.
Across the whole thing, or just one?
Yeah,
category?
it was all 4
Okay.
categories.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I'm gonna test it out too. I may even do it tonight if I can get it if the update's not too big or whatever. But it sounds like over the next couple of days we're gonna have some fun stuff here.
Yeah.
To check out.
And here, and I think right after this climb, I go do a race, and they're all holding 4 watts per kilogram, and I'm just chilling behind it. Like it's both. Free
The
ride
pace
before.
spots. You don't know if you're believing that those are pace spots. The ones
I think they were, yes, because
they were holding rock solid 4 watts per kilo.
Right in the area, 4 watts per kilogram. Come to a hill, it didn't matter. So I'm thinking.
So we're not seeing AI type bot riders in MyWhoosh that we're aware of.
Yeah. So visually, for the people that are just audio only, but the people that are watching as well, he was going past the rider, let off a wattage, fell, and slowly came right back into the slipstream. It wasn't a yo-yo.
You can see my excitement.
Yeah.
I watched this live, and it was very clear that there was a difference. And I experienced it in a race with another human, and we yo-yoed so much because the timing was so bad that we thought we were attacking one another. We were responding to an attack.
Yeah, I had that I had that in my like first or second race club because I got dropped like a bad habit. And then I was like just trying to ride with somebody going on the final climb up, and it was just this yo-yo effect. And I'm just like, I'd rather ride by myself. But now if you can ride with somebody, you can group up.
You kept it over accelerating because it'd be a delayed reaction. They get a gap and you're chasing across the gap. You let off when you get there, but you extend the power 3 seconds and you race past them and they think you're attacking. And it was just like, when I was doing it with another guy, I finally like sent an in-game message and like, I just wanted, like, I'm just trying to get a break, like just hold steady power. Like, let me sit on your wheel. If you both, like if I was on Discord with one of you guys doing it, I think we could do it because we both know the delay is there and we could communicate, and I think you could work it out. But there was nothing natural about it. You couldn't intuitively do it with somebody who
you weren't
non-verbally.
You couldn't. Yeah, it was just too tough. All right, one final question, and then we move on to like Zwift and other stuff. Do we know that MyWhoosh now new MyWhoosh only and the MyWhoosh HD riders, do those ride together?
As far as I'm aware, yes. I haven't seen anything to where,
the core server beneath it is the thing. It's
That's
just
a good question.
It's just the client to the rider.
I will find out because I honestly don't know. I couldn't imagine they would separate the user base based on.
Yeah, that'd be a bad decision, but yeah.
ZMS is saying in chat that yes, they're all combined across the version.
Yeah.
Cool. It's just a lighter weight version. It's essentially MyWhoosh Lite. And
yeah, so we're not talking PUBG and PUBG Mobile here. We're
right. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. This is a quick little thing. Biketerra. I don't know if it's on screen. We can talk about this, but no, we'll get into this. Check it out. Biketerra. It's new. It's like a web browser version.
Basically, Magic Roads.
Magic Roads. It's
everyone
looks like
missing
Virtua
Magic
Fighter.
Roads.
It looks like Sega Virtua Fighter.
Yeah. So what I did is this is Burnt Bridge Gravel Fondo. This is a ride I did in real life 3 weeks ago. Uploaded a GPX file. It made a route and you can ride it. It's all web-based. It's very slow at the moment.
Wow.
If you're pushing a button,
It runs on Chrome and Edge.
Yeah, so if you push a
Essentially
button on
Still
something,
Chromium.
only
right?
push it once. I don't have my trainer hooked up, but I mean, you can go into the menu.
Yeah.
It'll ask you for your trainer, your devices. You can hook.
It's free, and you can do workouts, and you can load up your own GPX files.
The HUD looks nice. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think for people missing, I was missing Magic Roads. I use Magic Roads a lot.
Yep.
But no, the population of the forest takes quite a while
Yeah, it's
when you
browser,
first start
but
a ride. But
I like the look.
it doesn't look bad at all,
I love it.
actually.
I love the cheesy, cell shaded sort of like geometric bodies and everything. Virtua Fighter. I like it. So check it out. Biketerra, BIKETERRA.com. And there's free signups right now. Check it out. Okay. So Casey's here. He's looks very focused. Let's talk
We're-
Zwift. The grade.
You want to talk Swift first? Oh, the grade.
Give us or you want to give us a little rundown of what you've been experiencing since you haven't been on the show in like a month and a half, 2 months maybe?
Yeah, so about 3 weeks ago or so, I started branching out into the non-Zwift world. I put a cassette on my trainer.
You were
finally.
very like,
Yeah,
I
so
like
was just
not
like,
having to do cassette. And
I'm just being lazy. I mean, I used to like fiddle with my
yeah.
bike for
I'm with you.
30 minutes a day, this and that. And I was like, dang, I want to do Indie Velo, but I got to get the cassette tool out and put a cassette on. So I finally broke down and did that. And I tried out MyWhoosh and Indie Velo both about 3-4 weeks ago. And my first impressions of Indie Velo actually were good. There was a little bit of I called it a marshmallow feel in the pack kind of thing that I was a little bit, I wasn't a big fan of. I felt like it was too hard. Like if you were dangling at the back of the pack, by the time you recognize the pack pulling a little bit faster than you, it took too much to get to them and some of that kind of stuff. I bumped over to into MyWhoosh and I was like, wow, MyWhoosh is pretty good other than the delay. I felt like the draft and the dynamics were better. The graphics were better. But I basically, I rode one race, like did one session on MyWhoosh, fiddled around, and I was like, as long as the delay's there, I won't open this app ever again. Like that's where I was. Like it was just, I was like, I don't care how good everything else is in this app. I cannot race with this type of lag because I'm an efficiency, like out I'm not about overpowering my opponent. I'm about gameplay kind of thing.
Experience,
and if you
like
can't,
your total experience.
yeah, if you can't ride efficiently and manipulate the other riders and get good draft and get a 2-man rotation going in a breakaway, I don't want to just be in a power competition. So I was like, no, I'm out. I'm excited to try it again. And actually, I planned on doing it before we met tonight, and I ran out of time today. So maybe tonight. But then I went back to Indie Velo, and it was interesting. Like I started Indie Velo on like a Monday, did MyWhoosh middle of the week, went back to Indie Velo later in the week, and they had just made a minor tweak. And I was riding along, and Bjorn came into my chat, and he's like, hey, you notice anything any different? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, just mess around there like on the back of a pack and you need to jump back on, or like he kind of gave me a hint like what to pay attention to. And I'm like, oh, I was complaining on Tuesday that I couldn't, it felt like a marshmallow back here, and like it feels better. I couldn't figure out what it was, but I was like, it feels better. And he's like, yeah, it does, doesn't it? Like, and he was kind of hinting at it. So then I went poking around in the Discord, and George had dropped a nugget the day before that, like, hey guys, made a little game change, curious, let me know if you feel anything any different. So then I pinged George on the side because I felt like Bjorn kind of gave me a hint. So I didn't want to open up to everyone else what I was feeling because I felt like mine was a little bit nudged in that direction. So I didn't want to spoil it for everybody else. So I sent George a message on the side, and I'm like, hey, I'm feeling this. Bjorn kind of gave me a hint. Like, is this what? And he's like, yep, that's it. And then like a lot of guys were like, I didn't feel nothing any different. George is just trying to fool with us or whatever. So he actually replied in Discord, and he was like, hey, somebody pinged me on the side, and they found it. So it's there. But basically what it was is it will accelerate. The basics of what I understand is it will accelerate a little bit faster. I think we're talking about marginal gains, but it will accelerate a little bit faster if you spin a higher cadence. So if you grab a couple gears and spin up to grab a pack or something like that, it's going to accelerate a little bit faster than if you keep your cadence down at 60 and just smash it. There's some controversy with some people over that because watts is watts and it shouldn't react differently. But the way I ride, it definitely, it took away the feeling that I originally wasn't so sure about in Indy Velo. And I've basically been racing Indy Velo for 3 weeks now, not really racing anything else. Because after about a week, like my summary was, every time I get onto Indy Velo, my race is different.
Yes.
So I don't know what my race is going to be when I get on there. And
regardless if it's human or bot, that's what you're saying.
And,
yeah.
And I'm getting a lot of feedback in my channel about like, I as soon as more people are there, I'll ride. And I'm like, actually, I don't think I want 100% human. The problem with 100% human is everybody races scared. I always want like 10% bots because they're fearless. They're going to attack. And then as humans, we can work with the bots to manipulate that. If a bot attacks, gets a gap, I can go across that gap. And if I'm racing with a bunch of humans, they're all too chicken to pull the gap. They all just want to sit and sprint at the end. So I think the bots actually, the intelligent bots, the AI, Lee comes in there. It's like, because I've said this so many times on my stream now. The only resemblance from Indy Velo bots to any other bot that I've encountered is how you spell the word. Like they are not pacer bots. They are not Coco.
They're like to me. They're better RGT because RGT sort of they had racer bots that did little attacks, but these are getting better and better and better because Bjorn is always improving them.
Yeah.
But there was 2 different kinds of bots on RGT.
Yeah.
There was the racer bot and sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So to me, that's kind of where I've morphed in the last couple of weeks, was between the different styles of racing, points racing, team points racing, scratch racing. Because at first, the first few races I did were all like points races. And I was like, man, these races are fun, but they're killing me. I can't beat the bots at the finish line if I have more than 2 or 3 bots with me. I can't out sprint them. If I get it down to 1 or 2 bots, they're wore out enough that I can out sprint them. But I can't beat a bot at the finish line, which I think is actually a good thing. Like if it's a pack sprint, I can't win.
Yeah.
How long?
That's an amazing thing.
How long?
How long were those races where you were experiencing getting beat by the bots for sprint?
30 to 45 minutes.
Okay.
So the bots on Indy Velo, like how they are literally resemble human by their specialty. It's actually incredible because you really don't know. When I was riding in a decent amount, they were getting smarter and smarter. Like I saw the progression.
And I saw the progression in like a week.
Yeah, it was incredible.
It's amazing now watching them. But that first week I was doing all these points racing, and my only complaint was like I can't do what I called like a chill race. Like I couldn't just join a race and cruise along. Then I started joining scratch racing, and scratch racing with the bots, I can kind of do that. You can go hard early, get out with 2 or 3 bots and just sit on their wheel and use them up.
So that's the thing I was asking is like, what's the distance? I was actually comparing a scratch race bot reaction. So they're even getting improved now because they're dying off at the end. Like some will go off and burn up their energy and they have nothing left for the sprint. But then there's people that will sprint like humans. You're in the heat of the battle and you're like within a kilometer to go. You're going to find something where the bots were just fading away and you would just sprint past them and they would never put up a fight. Well, there were the community of Indy Velo is asking to have bots that will bury themselves in a sprint, even though they might not have enough energy. So you're even going to get that experience as well. That's in a scratch race. I'm with you, Casey. I can't beat the bots in a scratch race or in a points race because they smoked me. And I did a Karen race the other day and I got smoked.
the Karen was terrible for me. If I had to do it over, I could do it, but I didn't realize how crazy they
Oh
would
yeah,
go when the bot pulled off. I'm like, holy cow! Because
yeah,
I did the same thing you did, Brian, on the first one. I watched you do it. Is you got the running start for when the pacer went away and you kind of shot out the front.
yeah,
And
yeah,
as soon as you did that, they just swallowed you up, and like
yeah.
there's just no way. But so
Yeah.
that's kind of been what my last few weeks have been, and I've really enjoyed it because it's always something different.
It is.
I actually got in with the dirt team a little bit, so I'm racing with a dirt
cool.
team on Indy Velo a little bit. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, I've been excited about it. I think they're doing good things.
Have you done a team time trial now? Because that's a new feature that
I have
happened.
not done the team time
Okay, so
trial
that's
yet.
what we haven't done. That. I did a real race yesterday, and so I was kind of not doing some stuff, but I do want to do a team time trial because that feature was released last Monday. And
But
it's
I
like,
think the coolest race I did, and you guys talked about it a little bit a couple weeks ago, and I don't think any of you guys quite had all the information about what I was doing. I read the race information because it was a not a split pin race. Everybody went into the same pin. There was a lot of humans there, almost completely human, I think. But the way they set it up, instead of splitting the pins, it was a points race, but the points weren't just linear top to bottom. It was like, if you went through first place in a sprint point, you got 20, and then it'd be 19, 18, like down to 10th place. But at 11th place scored 19 points, only one less point than first place. So every 10 spots, it jumped back up. So I got away with this pack of 9 guys that were all like way stronger than me. And I got like 8th place in the first sprint. And I'm like, okay, I can barely hold on to these guys. And 11th place isn't in my pack. And if I can't get top 3 in every sprint, I'm better to lay back. So I let them go. I dropped back, and I was trying to get 3rd in the sprint in the second pack to get 11th place. And then guys kept dropping off the first pack. So I was always having to keep track of where I was at and how many positions were in my pack. So I was trying to sprint for 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, 4th place in my pack to get 11th place. So I ended up getting 11th place in every sprint except for the first sprint, and I got 2nd place in the race overall on points because I had racked up that. And I was like, when I got all done, I was like, that was a ton of fun. The guys around me were so confused because I'd kind of just ride right alongside him, and I'd either jump right in front of him or drop right behind him, right at the line to get that spot. But I'm like, this is what I like, because I feel like I have an advantage of adjusting to strange racing styles quicker than other people. It took half the race for people to figure out what I was doing. And then I was like, okay, so I actually want this. And that's when it clicked with me that every time I got on Indy Velo, my race experience was a little bit different, and I didn't know what to expect. Where on Zwift, almost every race I jumped into, if I knew the terrain and I knew the number of people, I could almost call what to expect in the race.
Yeah.
So are you going in, I don't know what I'm going to do in Indy Velo, and you go to the events list and you pick what you want? Or do you go in thinking, oh, I want to do a points race, or I want to do a scratch race, and then you try to find that?
Yeah, I usually go in looking for the humans. More than so I go. I don't even know exactly what it is. I don't think it's actually Indy Velo's direct web page. But if you search like Indy Velo events on Google, it comes up with like Indy Velo Hub events or something like that. Yeah,
it's a community thing.
And
Mike's work.
Yeah, and it pops up. It pops up events that are more viewed and more signups ahead of time. So I'll try to favor where people are more than anything. So I'll pick. I don't care if it's scratch or points or whatever. And like the other day, it was a really big, like Wednesday lunchtime race for me that I would say would be equivalent to having like a Zwift A+ field, and I ended up 6th in the race. Like, and they pushed me way harder than I would have ever went in Zwift, because I wouldn't normally race against guys of that level. Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of been that's a lot of Indy Velo there, but that's
good.
Kind of
it's good to talk about. And that's the thing that we do touch on here is the subtleties. Like, you picked up on something where other people are not picking up on it, but you're messaging the guy who does the programming, who's the designer, the founder of the game, and he's hearing feedback, applying it or not applying it, and he's very agile and doing the things that he's doing. So same with Bjorn with the bot sort of like manipulation.
And the dumb little things. So I stopped doing dual recording on my own in Zwift because it was just an aggravation for me, and I thought my power pedals were having an issue because sometimes it'd go a little flaky and all that. But in Indie Velo, you just click a button, right? Like it just So I started dragging that over, and I'm like, oh, my dual recordings are really good. So whatever my problem was with my pedals has fixed itself since from March to now, but I wasn't tracking it because like Indie Velo, it's just there.
Yeah. There is a new thing that's potentially coming out soon. It's customizable UI. So being able to,
out.
Yeah. Is it out?
Now.
Oh, okay. It's out now.
I think it's in the update today. It'll be released officially tomorrow.
Okay. So yeah, I was like, that was sort of like, hey, check this out later, like last week during the week. And now, because Bjorn was like streaming earlier today, and he had it, and he's customizable of like the top left, which is what I want, and he had exactly what I wanted, which was like power, heart rate, cadence, distance, and time. And it's like that's all they have up there, and you're like, that's exactly what I want, and got rid of the stuff in the middle. Yeah, okay, it's already out. So it's like that is like the cadence of updates is weekly. Big things sometimes, little things most of the time, but always innovating and always pushing the stuff, which is good to see. Like, and Lee says, I totally agree with Lee. Competition is awesome right now. It's nice.
Yeah. And what I didn't realize until I kind of dug into another platform too, there's little things in those platforms that I didn't have on Zwift that now that I see them again, like they would have been small asks, but now that I've encountered them in another one, I'm like, this is actually a big thing. Indie Velo, every event you join, across the bottom of the screen is the full profile of the full event with all your sprint points on it, right? Like I know where I'm going 20K from now. It's not showing me the next 30 feet or whatever Zwift decides to show you. And the gradient actually makes some sense on that gradient map.
That's new too. Yeah. They've added the colors. That's like 4 or 5 weeks old. But even a sprint race, because I don't do sprint races very much, or point races. The little number indicator.
Yeah.
You know when the sprint that's worth points is coming up. Yeah. Oh, that is huge.
And just little things in my head, like, oh, there's a little bump between sprint 1 and sprint 2 that's, I can go hard on that bump and have enough time to recover for sprint 2 because I've got the whole layout right there. Like those little things
they add up.
Yeah. So I hopefully the competition is watching, right? I mean, we want them all to push each other to improve.
It's a good segue into Zwift with their HUD announcement hasn't shown up yet. And it's like, they're supposed to have the profile. It's supposed to have all these other things. When is this supposed to show up? I don't know.
So what the big argument with Zwift is, right? They're giving us a lot of things, but nothing we're asking for, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
so we're getting all kinds of stuff, but it's nothing we asked for. The grade, it looks cool. I'll ride it. A couple extra routes. I kind of chuckled listening to you guys. I wanted to scream at BK. Was it last week or the week before when he's like, "Oh, it's innovative. If Zwift is gonna, have this whole new method to FTP testing and all that." And I'm like, no, there's no way they're coming out with some. They actually did more than I thought, so I will give them credit for that. But they're just doing math. I mean, all they're doing is saying your effort was X amount of time, and based on that X amount of time, assuming it's an all-out effort, they adjust that 95% shift to be something different. I
was being the not negative Zwift guy like I normally am, and they're like, hey, they're competing with like Zert and like Coggin, who's the guy who came up with the original 20-minute effort. There's the 1 hour, which is everyone knows, and then somebody came out with, I don't want to do an hour, I just do 20 minutes, and adding more to go, hey, can we come to something? That's where I was kind of coming from. But it was,
that's the thing too, is like, I appreciate that they're pushing forward with the grade and all these things. But like you said, it's funny. Zwift Insider had a post about the handlebar thing from next. It's supposed to be announced. And the first comment was, yay, something else we didn't ask for. And what's funny is more and more people are having that attitude. Like, I would remember if I went on the Zwift forum and was like, Zwift, come on, what are you doing? Let's fix this. I would have like 700 comments being like, you're a jerk. Zwift is the best. Why are you even coming on these forums if you're gonna? Or
Yeah.
now it's more like,
Yeah.
he's right. This is dumb. And so more people are kind of jumping on that bandwagon. Zwift is still the most popular cycling app out there, but it just seems like who at headquarters is picking some of this stuff to push forward. Like the user base, it seems like the majority of the user base now is going, why did you put what? What are we doing? Like, why?
Well, and I think I had a philosophy on this when you guys were talking about it, Lee, because I think it's the maturity of the user base, right? We were there, most of us were there a couple of years ago because we've been on the platform longer. Now, some of those users that came on 3 or 4 years ago, they're mature enough with Zwift that they're starting to get frustrated. They're not giving them that grace anymore because they've been here long enough. But yeah, the other side to it with Zwift is I don't think they're sitting around a table saying, how do we keep these 4 racer dudes happy? I think they're sitting around a boardroom table trying to figure out how we get more people on the platform.
New
They're
subscribers.
not concerned about the retention as much as they are getting new people in. So
Yeah.
I think they've exhausted the traditional cyclist market.
But is hardware the answer?
I don't know that hardware is the answer. I still think they're chasing the Peloton model, right? When they're coming
Yes.
out with this hardware, it's an all-inclusive model, right? You come buy our hardware. Like I could very well foresee this
But it's
being a
not a
lease the
Peloton
equipment for 2 years. It includes a Zwift membership and it's $100 a month. And here you go.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
That still doesn't exist. Even though I agree with you that they're trying to go after they're competing with the Peloton, but Peloton has an all-encompassing thing and an app if you have your own stuff. Zwift doesn't have the
And Peloton's
all-encompassing, hardware for them for their environment.
and
Is that the
Peloton's
June
got
12th?
like one-on-one.
Is that the June 12th? Like we don't know what's coming.
Okay, yeah. So we don't know what's coming, but it's like, okay, maybe it is coming. I don't know. But
So the other little
June 12th is whenever this hardware thing's being released. And in my opinion, it looks like the old Zwift bike that they wanted to release made into a frame because that original Zwift bike had the Zwift plays on the handlebars. It was built in, like in the original photos.
Yeah, I viewed it as, I think my interpretation of putting all this together, I think it's what Lee was trying to build, right? Is I want to get an old bike frame. I want to put the plays on it. I want to make the hoods do nothing other than rest my hands. I don't care about gears. I don't care about shifting, strip all that stuff off. I need a bottom bracket. I need a crank and a chain.
100%
buttons.
When they announced virtual shifting, I was all over it, which I still haven't gotten it for V5. And that's exactly it. I have like a 2005 giant aluminum bike road frame hanging on my wall where literally I need a front wheel, a handlebar, cranks, and a single ring chain ring. Like you could put together a bike with virtual shifting for probably like $250.
So the last little nugget that I caught on Facebook, I've been gone camping for 4 days, and I caught this little nugget on Facebook like Friday, Saturday. And I don't know if any of you guys caught this or not. And I don't know if this means anything or not, but I thought it interesting. One of the major Zwift news outlets that disappeared is getting the band back together. Does anybody see that?
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
So the Zwift cast, Simon Schofield put out a cryptic message that they're getting the band back together. So are we going to see GP Llama, Simon, and are they getting back together because they want to get back together? Have they been enticed by Zwift? Is there big news coming that they're getting involved with stuff? Yeah.
And that, I saw that and I was like, because Simon Schofield, his whole reason was, I guess he has some
health
loss.
stuff. Yeah.
And it was really hard for him to do the show.
He might be
because
getting
of his
healthy
hearing.
again.
Yeah, and maybe, but yeah, that's
and let me stop there to say too. I don't bring that up for anything about those 3 guys, right? Like I don't think there's any funny business of them coming back. I just thought it was interesting the timing of that because they were
definitely
that
funny.
group was very influential. I hope Simon's doing great, and I hope he's back for good, because he was awesome at what he was doing there. He was also very involved in the production of Zwift broadcasts. I don't know if everybody knew that or not, but he was often the guy in the ears of the broadcasters during the big races. Nathan and those guys, like, he was the one calling the camera shots, and he was kind of doing the TV producing on that. And I can tell you, their broadcasts were better when Simon was playing that role than when he was not. We knew who won the race before they called it on stream when Simon was making those calls.
The one thing I do admire about what they would do is he would have Eric Min on once a year to go, like, the state of Zwift every year. He would have that, and some of that stuff would drive me bonkers because it never showed up. But he at least would have him on. Like, Eric Min doesn't seem like he wants to be informing the audience, or his audience, the community, as strongly as he portrays, like, wanting as in my opinion, as a CEO would.
So yeah, so what we know about Zwift right now, right? All the stuff's coming at once. What we know about Zwift right now is this week, but usually Tuesday, they're dropping the grade, right? The grade's coming this week, June 12th.
Some people are getting the grade.
Rollout.
Don't even start with that. Don't even start with the phased rollouts. Gonna lose.
I've been getting them on time. I actually, so you know the little hack to get them, right? I haven't actually had to do that, but there is a little hack, and I always wondered, like, it's just incrementing one version number at a time. Can I hack now +1 from what the current version is and accidentally get the grade early? Like, is it out there on the download side? Because that's all it's doing.
Can I put a 2.0 and get a better version of the game?
Right. Because we know that game version exists because people are riding it, right? The insiders are riding it. It's available to people.
Yeah.
But
the whole phased rollouts, especially when there's brand new content. I understand phased rollouts with bug fixes, but when you've been announcing the grade for weeks and weeks, and it comes out and I'm seeing YouTube videos on it, I'm sitting there going, Zwift update, I don't got it. And then 3 days later, everyone's ridden it, and I finally get it. That is ridiculous. New content needs to be dropped for everyone, like 10 a.m. Pacific time, Tuesday.
Yeah, that
one drives me insane.
I don't remember which release it was, but it was a big one. It might have been the virtual climb thing they've got, right? The climb portal. Like, it was out I got it on Friday morning, and people were getting it on Tuesday. Like, that was ridiculous. I think they've tightened up that window now. I think everybody's getting it within 24 to 30 hours, something like that.
It is smaller now. It is. Because, like you said, there was, like, on a Sunday, I still wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
But now, pretty much on Friday, like, if it comes out Tuesday, pretty much on Friday morning, I'll have it. And just like that, anything that's game changing. The CDA, when me and you did that stupid gravel race out there in Road to Jungle or whatever the heck that thing was, that was stupid.
Yeah, because you were on old and I was on new, and it was a CDA.
Oh yeah, when they changed the resort resistance on the dirt.
I'm riding zone 2, and he's FTP behind me, and he can't catch. Like, that was.
But Brian, you double dip, so I mean, do you really need
I'm not even real.
phased rollout?
Not even real.
Yeah, you're going to have trainer resistance on Zwift. You're just collecting XP to transfer it to MyWhoosh.
The other thing,
jerseys and XP.
Yeah, the other thing I'm seeing on Zwift now, though, is we're in the summer. We're in the summer dark days here on Zwift. That's part of the reason I ended up doing as much indie velo in the last 3 or 4 weeks. That what I did is I would grab my phone usually in the evening. I'm like, oh, I can be on in like 45 minutes, and I'm looking for races that either have decent amount of people in them or somebody I know in them is usually what I do. And I'd pick it up, and I'm like, oh, I've got 3 choices of races, and there's 6 Bs in one race, there's 4 Bs in another race, and the other one is like going up the mountain. And I'm like, I'm not doing this garbage. So, and then I'd go over to Indie Velo, and I'm like, I don't care if there's nobody in the race, because there's 30 really good bots in the race.
Yeah.
And if there's only 6 people on the road, odds are one guy doesn't even launch out of the pin. 2 guys get mad and get, drop 10 minutes into the race because we're trying too hard, and they're looking for a group ride. So that's where I was at with Zwift, where it's like, I'm actually at Indy Velo because I'm racing more people there, even though they're not real people, than I am on Zwift at this time of the day and
more
this time
satisfying.
of the year.
And
Yeah.
neutral rollouts.
Oh, the
the
neutral
neutral
rollout,
roll, yeah.
great.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I
love
love
them
neutral
too.
rollouts.
I just thought of an idea for Indie Velo. If anyone's in the chat, I would like to get team bots, so you could have some team tactics. Like if you're an unattached rider or a solo rider like Casey, and you have like 3 or 4 bots that are messing with you, and you're like, I got to chase down this one, and I got to chase down this one. That would be fun.
I'll have to find it and see if I can clip it. There was actually one point in a team points race that I full on raged because it was a team points race. So I was assigned 4
right,
bots
yeah,
as
I've done
teammates.
that. Yeah, those are fun.
And I got off. I actually got 3 of my bot teammates off the front with me. We were a pack of 4 off the front. We had like 20 seconds, and those jackwagons kept attacking me. I'm like, we're on the same freaking team. So, I know Bjorn took that feedback back as
funny.
well. But I was so mad. So we ended up like placing 1st through 4th in the race, but we didn't finish together. Like they broke me. They dropped me.
So like you don't chase your teammate, and you definitely don't attack your teammate.
Right. And they were attacking and counterattacking. Like I was like, oh, come on, guys.
They're getting smarter, but yeah, that was kind of that's some dumb stuff. But yeah.
With your point on Zwift racing, why you kind of went to Indy Velo because you didn't have anyone there. Why do you think it is, no matter what Zwift branded race shows up, like these stupid stage 1 coastal races that I did a couple this week, why are there so many people that show up for them when you've got 10 other races within an hour or whatever the number is, you know what I mean?
Well,
because they always draw. There was on a Friday night at 9 or 8, whatever I rode, there was 35 people in a race. That's crazy.
I find when I dig into it though, what is there really that many other races when you actually start looking at them? Because it'll be like, oh, this is a 4-mile race, right? Like that's not a race. Come on. Like that's what I get into is like, there's actually 5 races in this hour, but there's 3 of them that are automatic like no's, right? Because they're less than 10 miles. They're, like to me, I'm always looking for something. Generally, 45 minutes is probably the sweet spot, but I'd prefer, I'm always looking for 30 kilometers or more usually. Yeah. If it's under that, I'm usually looking for 2 races. Like if I can find 2 that I can stack in an hour, like, okay, I can get this one done in 25 minutes. I can start the next one at the 30-minute mark and do that one. I'll do that. And it's hard to find that anymore, especially in the North America evening hours. It'll be like, I can race at 7 o'clock or I can race at 8:30. That's it. Like that's my only options unless I want to do some stupid race. I'm sorry. That's just some of the races.
Before they changed their system, the short races were quite popular because they were under 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a lot of people would attend those knowing that they wouldn't get bumped up a class if they went for it.
Yeah,
that's probably true. Yeah.
So, and I haven't seen the results of this or what it meant, but those tiny races that they do on Saturdays switched over to VO2 max categories last week, and what are they? ZMAP was the categories, not ZFTP this last week. So if you went and looked at like I was still a B. Yeah, I was still a B in those categories, but if you went and looked at like the entry list for the A category, it had A's, it had traditional A's, B's, and C's in it, because if you had a really high VO2 max, you were bumped up categories. So I still categoried out as a B, which actually surprised me because I'm pretty high on my ZMAP compared to my FTP.
Your VO2 max is out of control.
Yeah, I kind of thought I would jump to an A in that scenario, but I didn't. But I would be curious for that type of racing, how that changed things. I'm sure there were some people back in the C categories that loved it because it kind of gets those guys out of there that are doing that. Like, I never race more than 20 minutes, so I'll never have a high FTP and I'll never move up.
Yeah.
But I sent you, Brian, it's not even the ZFTP, right? It's not even Zwift's. FTP based categories are dumb to begin with, but their FTP calculation is just as dumb as the categories are, because I sent Brian a screenshot of Zwift in intervals and my estimated FTP. My intervals estimated FTP right now is 317 watts. My Zwift ZFTP is 291 watts. I mean, how do I have 27 watts difference in an estimated FTP when both tools have the exact same data available to them? Like,
That's kind of
I mean,
funny.
I understand the
I found
calculation can change a little bit, but
That's a massive difference.
That
I always
far
found
apart?
It's
Zwift was
innovation.
way
They're
over.
innovators. They're innovators with their new math,
Like
right?
every time I would do a ramp test, Zwift would be like, your FTP is like 320, and intervals was like, yeah, maybe like 287.
Yeah.
So we have Casey here, and we haven't talked to him in a while. What's your take on the XP not going back to the way that they said the XP was going to be fixed?
I think it's the right decision. I'm glad to see
To
that
keep it the
they
way it
listened.
is.
I think it was the right decision for them to pause and be like, well, let's take a breath. Let's not fix one mistake by making a bigger mistake. Right. And that's basically what that guy admitted in the forums, right? Was like, yeah, we screwed up in December, and we realized they said they realized in their testing that their fix probably wasn't a good fix. But I think they more realized by the verbal abuse they got in the forums that maybe their fix to the fix wasn't quite what it needed to be. Whatever it is, I think it was great, because guess what? I don't have to double dip anymore. I'm level 100 because they didn't roll back the XPs, and I was double dipping on the portal, and I'm level 100 now. So I only have to open one app at a time because I got nothing to ride Swift for.
You're not banking like Mr. Double Dipper here.
Right.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I can buy every frame in the shop. I can buy every jersey in the shop, whatever. With the drops I've got, I can give you all confetti with my confetti socks. So I got no reason to build up any more XP. I did get to level 100 before Lumo. Sorry, Lumo, you get to be our example. I think I have almost 100,000 kilometers more than Lumo, and I beat him to level 100 by like 3 days. So
I think that
congratulations.
was the big issue with the XP change, was you ended up with people like me. I'm at 30,000 kilometers ridden. I'm level like 71. Like there's guys at 100 level 100 with like half the kilometers ridden to me.
Yeah.
All right.
Lumo's under 20K.
Yeah, I think we looked it up, because I said that too. Nothing against Lumo, but he's using the system. I think he's at 18,000 kilometers. It's something crazy.
He's just a good example, and I got to do the math. I'm at 67,231 miles. So I mean, I'm in the low 100K.
Are these gonna be like rapid fire? Because I just thought of another one. It might answer Brian's question as well. The reason why maybe more people are joining the whatever Zwift sponsored or the Zwift only, because of the marketing one, but no more Z Power in these event races, and so
That's
maybe
true.
people feel a bit more comfortable going in those races. They're like, you know what, I'll do this instead of like a 3R, where I might get a Z Power come in and ruin it.
Short answer to that, and then I got one other thing that we got to talk about, because it's been my best racing in probably 6 months, and I haven't even talked about it yet. I just clicked in my head. Basically, better late than never on the Z Power thing. Right. Better late than never. It's a good move. I understand why they didn't. I know why they didn't do it before.
Adoption.
And I mean, smart trainers are more available now. They're a higher percentage of riders, right? Like smart devices, right? When we were starting, only the crazies had any sort of power device, right? Let alone a smart trainer. So they should have done it before now, or they should have at least done it in more things before now. But I'm glad they did it. But ladder racing, I got recruited to do ladder racing with my DW Team Time Trial group. One of the guys I got into there. So there's this ladder league in Zwift. It's 5-on-5 heads up racing points. Basically, it's scratch racing. Points are awarded 10-1 in the order you cross the finish line. You challenge. I don't know the exact rules, so I'm going off the general here. So don't call me out if I'm a little bit off. But basically, you can challenge any team that's within 5 or 10 positions of you in the overall standings. You work with that team somehow to pick the course. There's a distance qualification. The course has to be between these two certain distances, and then you pick between you and the other team what you want the 2 power-ups to be, and you go compete head to head. Just you guys on the course, 10 riders. Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Is this Zwift sponsored?
I don't
How
know.
in the world can you create an event? Can you create an event to do this?
Yeah, they're doing it through, I think, maybe like club events or something.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Like, I just get a link, and if I click the link, I'm in the event. But the event doesn't show up on my Zwift Power until I finish the event. Like, it's not in my signups list beforehand.
So the organizer has the control.
Yeah.
I watched you do the ladder race when you streamed it, and it actually looked pretty interesting. There was a lot of chatter on Discord going, don't do this, do this. No, don't go. Chase that guy, get that guy. And I was like, wow, this is like
5-on-5 race. It's a 5-on-5 race.
5-on-5. And if you watched me stream it, I was actually reaching up and hitting a mute button.
Yeah.
You only heard about half of my conversation because I'd start to say something and I'd be like, no, because I don't know that my opponent's not listening to it.
Yeah.
So I would go hit mute and say, next time this guy goes, you need to cover it. Or, hey, if you go, I've got this power up, you need to tell me and I'm going to follow you. So I would talk on stream about what has already happened, but I wasn't talking about what we're doing next.
And so there's a league, there's a grouping or a league of teams, or it's just whoever you want to pick a fight with, to lack of a better term.
Yeah. So Brent clarified it's another team within 7 spots of you in the standings is who you need to challenge. I guess is the way it works. Well, I don't know who's driving it. I saw Zwift Insider did an article on it. There's a site. I don't remember what it is.
Okay.
And I guess the other call out there is we are ranked for that and qualified for that based on our Zwift racing rank. So I'm an Emerald, and the league, my understanding is the team or the league that I'm on is allowed to be Emerald and whatever the 2 categories are below it. So we're mixed up of 3 different categories out of Zwift racing. So like a Lucas wouldn't qualify to be on my team because I think he's the highest level, whatever it is, 1 above Emerald.
Zwift racing, the ranking system is what sort of the point structure goes from?
Zwift racing app or something like that.
Zwiftracing.app.
Yeah.
That is the sort of keeper of all the points. So you couldn't do this in IndyVelo.
Ladder.
And you couldn't do this in MyWhoosh. Like,
well, that's just what they're using to say what riders are qualified to race on that team. So my understanding is we're in a team that's required to stay in the bounds of those 3 categories, just from a caliber of rider perspective. In chat, people are posting links to what the actual ladder group is.
Bring it up.
Summary of it.
Bring it up.
But it was amazing racing because I had to change my frame of mind, right? I raced to win, and winning in this wasn't me being first. Winning in this was me having more teammates in front of them. So
ladder. Is it 2 ladders?
Yeah, it's 2 ladders.
Yeah,
ladder.
I did end up winning the race outright, but
can we get a smaller font, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a website up for the non-visual audience.
There you go.
Oh my word. Okay, now we can see. All right, so in Americas.
Cryogen,
OTE, Neon, Mafia.
We're like in the 10th or 12th spot, something like that.
Register captain or vice captain. Oh, go to fixtures. Let's see.
Yeah, there you go.
The middle tab right above. Yeah.
That'll show you the heads up racing.
So this is it. So today, which is UTC time. So they choose you. Oh, and you get to choose your power ups too.
Yeah. So the 2 teams get together to pick
the 2 teams that are pitted against each other. I'm like way leaning into the screen now because I'm reading this with my glasses. So you have to come to a conclusion of like, hey, we're going to race this course. These are the power ups, and then these are the 5 people from our team are going to show up.
Right.
This is very cool. I like this.
What was interesting is coming into it for the first race, like I didn't have any of the background even on our team. And they're like, oh yeah, we challenged this team because we match up with them really well on this type of course. And then all of a sudden out of the woodwork, this team came up with 3 guys that had an FTP under 250, but they're 4.4 FTP. Like they were like 62 kilo guys that were going to tromp us on the hill. So we came into it and just attacked on the flat and just punished them.
And for the non-visual audience, audio only audience, there is a choice where no power-ups are allowed.
Looks
so
like
you don't have to have. So there's a race at 8:30 between the NZ Bro Beached As and Foudre et Poisse. Downtown Titans, no power-ups. So you can say, hey, we don't want power-ups. We just want a flat-out race. Okay. Very cool. So you can use this, like you don't need to have power-ups, or you can just do the racing, right? So like you can do this on Indy Velo. If you're like, hey, we're doing Indy Velo races.
If you race the 4 horsemen?
Yeah, you can pick whatever you...
I was typing there. I didn't realize. Holy cow.
I mean, the course we raced was a fun course to race because we raced, what was it? London Greater 8. So it was all around the flat, and then you go up Box Hill, making your way back to the regular start finish.
Go to results, Lee. Go to results. Okay, so what was this on the 8th, which was yesterday? You have scores of like 34 to 18, 29 to 20.
It's 28 points to win, basically.
So as soon as you reach 28 points, you're pretty much
28. You win because that's over half of the.
Now are these are
points.
just across the line? There's no intermediate stuff.
No intermediates. It is across the line. You're racing for nothing but the finish line, but only having 10 riders, 5 on 5. We are never pack riding. There is always someone 4 seconds off the front, and you're chasing them down. And as soon as you catch, it's who's in my race. The other team was completely just waiting for the hill. They had one guy who covered every move, who was their heavier guy that had more raw watts, and that dude did awesome. But we punished him. He chased every single attack, and we had 3 of us just going. Every time we'd pull somebody back, within 30 seconds, somebody else was going. One of our guys that did all of our attacking on the flats was a C rider, but he had a raw FTP of like 330. So on the flats, all he had to do was get a little gap, and he could pull his power down to 300 and still pull away from us as long as the other team wasn't working. So he did all that before the hill and then just blew up. Like he knew he wasn't getting over the hill, and he just punished him.
And now I'm taking off my excited because this is kind of cool idea and cap, and I'm putting on the hey, I'm gonna rain on your parade. Verification, any of these?
So I don't know their full verification rules. I assume that they're watching closely. I do know that all of the parameters or all of the devices are required because the previous week, either somebody on our team or the other team got DQ'd because they forgot to pair their cadence. And with no cadence, it was a DQ. So
they did the race, but then they were DQ'd.
Yeah. They
didn't get booted from the race while the race was occurring.
No. Right.
So they essentially can manipulate the race regardless of cadence. So
and that one wasn't intentional.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
But I get that.
If they, and I'm making a big assumption here. If they're doing that sort of rigid rule on cadence, which is probably the least important of the parameters, I'm assuming that they're watching a little closer, or maybe have a way to handle disputes or something like that. I definitely saw no funny business in the races I did. That's for sure.
Okay. I'm just trying to say, like, hey, Indy Velo's got all that stuff really locked in.
Oh yeah.
Dual power and stuff. So like, hey, if this gets a little bit more, look, there's sponsorships here too.
This team, this type of format can happen on any platform that'll allow you to create custom events. Essentially, I mean, that's
for sure. It's just
right?
whether the people that are organizing it would be willing to be inclusive with other platforms, because sometimes people are just like, oh, Zwift, let's make Zwift better. And
So,
then
so the hard part
the
with this,
platform
and
isn't as good. And it
yeah,
could be
the hard
better.
part with this, and I think Lucas kind of got me thinking about that, was Lucas like, oh, this is cool, I want to do it, what do I have to do? And I was kind of explaining the format, and he's like, oh, I'm not going to recruit 5 teammates and do all this. It's like, you just need to. I got into it because there was already
Somebody
a team
recruited you.
somewhere, and somebody was
Yeah.
like, hey, we're doing this, you want to come try? And it was someone who I've been racing on Indy Velo with, and part of the team time trial groups that I've been riding with. So that's why I was like, hey, Lucas, you need to find somebody who's already doing all the coordination. And that's the hard part, is this is a super fun kind of riding, but how do you bring this to the masses with somebody who doesn't want to put that kind of time into it? Basically, 1 in 8 people have to put the commitment into
It's
organizing the team, right? The other 7 can just show up and race on their scheduled times, but somebody's got to do the coordination.
Yeah, that's where like having a built-in ranking system, or built-in like how you populate matches in other high-end games, right?
Now, Indy Velo has teams built in, so they might be able to do more of this type native in. I mean, because we do team points racing now,
make your own
right?
events. Yeah, anyone can make their own event. So you just
They
do
could
it.
probably, yeah. I don't know if they could just create an event that's maximum of 2 teams, maximum of 5 per team, and it's a scratch race, and that's it.
Yeah.
First 5 from each team that join get to race it.
Yeah, that's.
But anyway, this
Right.
was probably
It's
the
very
best
cool.
racing that
I know,
I'd
I
done.
like it.
Yeah, it was great.
It's a great new little sort of slice of, there's the, what's the other one? The chasing tour thing, which is sort of like this sort of like outside of the Zwift space. That is same with FRR. Is it like FRR races? What's the one that's the cross-platform thing that we talked about? The arena thing that we talked about last week.
Yeah,
It's,
I forget.
it's organizers and promoters trying to do stuff, and hopefully they're platform agnostic when they're thinking of these ideas, or they're coming up with sort of establishing this. That's my thought process.
Yeah,
is to go, hey, if you could spool it up and you can have racers racing in Indy Velo or MyWhoosh, for lack of a better example, get them to go and have more people engage in the sport, with some in-game verification to kind of not ruin the experience. Because a lot of people are putting, I mean, look, they have like, they're pulling, I don't know where they're pulling all this data. So on the screen, there's the down and dirty Ospreys, and they have people's probably Zwift power photo, which is sometimes a mandatory thing for the Zwift games. You had to have your photo updated or something like that, so they could pull all the information. But it's also to kind of like verify that's you instead of like your kid. Some of these are like, it's like, oh, I have, they have their dog on a bike. This is like real people. Regardless if that's real or not, I don't know. But this is very cool. That it?
Well, we could cover the Zwift. Last week we talked about the Zwift FutureWorks, now Zwift Labs.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The history. I tracked down.
Yeah. You went. Yeah. This was your homework assignment I gave you.
Yeah. So I did ask Casey once I collected this, and he felt this was about everything that Zwift FutureWorks, now Zwift Labs.
Let's get the screen up for Zwift Labs now, Lee.
Okay.
Instead of dirty Ospreys. I don't want to look at dirty Ospreys anymore.
So the history of the FutureWorks started in roughly September of 2019. FutureWorks came out steering and repack ridge. Originally, you could use your phone or the Elite Sturzo, which Elite has a exclusive deal with Zwift. You can't apparently use your Elite Sturzo anywhere else but Zwift till like 2026. So and I didn't know they're still doing this. Repack Ridge was modeled after the Marin County, California 1970s mountain bike races. So apparently that's very similar. Marin County. Apparently that's very similar to that terrain of the mountain bike course, which is no longer a thing because they flattened it out and put us on a different piece of Watopia. So that was the first thing. Steering in 2019. March of 2020, Club Jarvis come out. It was a test for all the OG beta testers for clubs to see if it would work. May 2020, they had boost mode, which I think was out on Crit City. I think you could use it.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
Yep.
And also in May, this is kind of funny. I was shocked. May of 2020, they had Sights and Sound mode, which they had to have a FutureWorks test event to do no HUD. So that was a whole entire test group just to remove the HUD. Anyway, in these test events is where we got Jarvis, the bear, riding at 2.5 watts per kilogram. So the first pace partner was a test event in these Sights and Sound events was Jarvis riding at 2.5 watts per kilogram. In August, we got the 4 pace partners. Was it Coco, whatever it was, Bowie, Coco, Constance, and
Anquetil.
Anquetil? Is that what she was originally?
Yeah, it was Jacques Anquetil, the French.
Okay.
A for Anquetil.
Yeah.
And then unless they changed it, but I remember it was Anquetil.
It could have been. Yeah, very well. I don't have the exact.
When was Smell-O-Vision tested?
Smell-O-Vision?
Yeah, where you could smell your sweat while you're riding in Zwift. No, it's.
I think it was 2015 is when they released that.
Right.
So in October of 2020, Zwift clubs opened up to it. It was just more people. I think it was like team owners and certain event organizers. It wasn't everyone. Then you got drop multipliers for pace partners.
When was clubs started?
Clubs was March 2020 to beta only, like the Club Jarvis originally. Casey might have been, I assume, was in that.
Yeah.
And then Zwift clubs in October 2020 was open to more people, but not everyone. It wasn't
October 2020.
Yeah. And then the drop multipliers for the bots came in October 2020. I don't have any much. The Cone of Shame in December of 2021. Now that's over a year before something really got through FutureWorks.
Cone of Shame was long before that.
Yeah, it was way before that.
Yeah. The only thing I could find was anti-sandbagging. I don't know what it is. There was no details. I have no idea. What is it? So that was in December 2020. It just died away. And then January 2022, all members could have Zwift clubs as long as you were a paid user and good standing with customer service.
So missed the opportunity to get clubs dialed in.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how it was. So it was March 2020 when they got clubs, and then it was released to everyone in October.
It wasn't really released to everyone.
No.
When they rolled that out, it was like it was similar to like the jersey, how you got a jersey, right? If you were organizing enough races or you were a large enough team, they would hand you a club. Essentially, they would create it, but it wasn't as a user, you couldn't just go in there and say, I want to make a club and invite people.
I believe that was, at least for me personally, that was such a missed opportunity in the heat of the pandemic where you really needed organization. I was doing club meetups for like 70 people, and they had to be my friend or be followers, and then I couldn't repeat adding everyone. So I was doing a Tuesday. I was doing a Tuesday morning and a Tuesday evening and a Thursday morning and a Thursday evening. And I was like, I kept sending them things like, how come it won't remember my selections of who I'm inviting? Because people were like, hey, invite me to the club ride. And this is when no one's riding outside, like first responders. We don't want to crash on the road. Don't ride outside. All these things because you don't want to be in a hospital when you don't have COVID. And they totally missed it. And now it's like, is clubs even a thing? Like it could have, oh man, Now I'm going back.
I think everyone was super excited to have clubs, and then once you got
Everyone
it,
was riding outside.
well,
The
that's that.
usability.
The usability wasn't
Usability
there.
was
Like
worthless, yeah.
we had club rides. Our local bike club had a Zwift section, and we would do weekly rides. And we never used the club meetup stuff because if you weren't a member of the club, you couldn't join. And to try to wrangle every single person that wanted to be in the ride into the club was just a nightmare. Like all we really wanted was a link, because what was happening too is we were getting club rides that if you put it on the Zwift calendar, everyone can join. And that's not really what we wanted.
Yeah.
We wanted to be able to sort of create a link, send it to only people, because not everyone was in the club. So it just like we never used it. We used it like once and we were like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah,
and then we're like, no, it's not.
Everyone asked for it to be like, hey, can we do clubs or we can do better meetups or whatever? And whether they heard us or not, it was way after the fact when it was needed. And then they released it when no one was really doing it and they'd already found their own ways to kind of do it. And it didn't fix us. It didn't solve an issue from a workaround. It just was like not a thing that we really needed for clubs. Like it didn't solve that issue.
Yeah.
So keep going on. Sorry, I had to go on my club issue.
Totally understandable, because clubs is kind of worthless. And from my point of view, a lot of these Jersey unlocks have moved to the stupid club. That sucks because I can't get them because I got to be in your little club. Regardless, anyone can take a guess on what the last Future Works thing was. Now, this is going back 18 months. The last Future Works thing that have been brought up. And the only thing out of this that really hasn't made it the game was boost mode, anti-sandbagging, maybe? I don't know. But
the last thing, don't tell us. What's I'll give a guess. We all give a guess.
What's the last thing that you think came through Future Works?
I'm going to go the thing that no one uses anymore, which was the speed boost and the time boost and the slowing down little chevrons. Whatever that is that no one uses anymore. It was awesome when it came out and everyone did it once. And then they're like, and Lee did it about 15 times. And he's like, this is lame and I don't want to do it anymore, which is the
repack rush.
The repack rush. That's my guess.
My guess would be steering.
Steering is not. Repack rush. It may be part of this, but I never confirmed it, seeing it. Whereas,
what's your guess, Casey? Or does he already know?
He might know.
Yeah, I think I know. I'll spoil it. It's something to do with bots. It's bots and events or something like that.
No. Well, the bots and events they've been testing on and off. But it's holo replays. That was a Future Works.
Oh, okay.
That was holo
the last replays. One. Yeah, that was the last confirmed official. Now the events and bots, they may not be as Future Works because they already have the bots. They are just unleashing them on the event. But
I think
unleashing.
The anti-sandbagging. I finally figured out what that one was. Okay. And it is in game. I think that's essentially your category enforcements. You couldn't enter a category below your skill level. So I mean that was a good one.
Yeah. Okay.
The categories are horrible, but the fact that you can't sandbag at least.
Yeah. So essentially, September 2022 is the last confirmed Future Works thing under that Future Works umbrella that I've seen. So now that we've got 18 months later, we've got Zwift Labs. They're testing Fondos. You've already put on Fondos, Zwift. I don't understand. Segment Smasher. I don't understand it. You go hit the King of the Mountain. What's the deal? The group FTP test. I hate group workouts. I will never do one. I hate FTP tests in general. Don't understand it.
Oh, now I can read it. He's zooming in, everyone.
Yeah. And then the audio workouts. I was going to do one, but they only do it for like 3 days, and I missed my little window.
I think the audio workout thing is actually useful. Everything else on this list
Where they
is
tell you the cues of like, hey, get ready
Yeah.
for this next interval.
like
that.
this one makes me laugh. The after party. This just cracks me up. Like,
Yeah, the after
why
party.
is that a thing?
Yeah.
Like, just give me a big wheel, and when I get to the top of the mountain, I'll change it myself. I don't need like, why do you need a Future Works for them to auto change you
No.
to a big wheel?
Yeah.
Zwift Lab.
Zwift Labs, yes.
Zwift Labs.
We got to get your thing on Zwift forums changed now, Lee. You got to be.
Yeah,
Where are the
audio
dynamic
workouts.
physics? I want dynamic physics on a Zwift Lab.
So the dynamic workouts, if it's what I think it is, might be interesting too, because it's more about like your workout changes at points on the course instead of timing, like for intervals.
No,
Is
I
that
think
what
it's
that is?
what Indy Velo already has, which is you can do a workout and it's not it's a terrain based, because Indy Velo
Right.
has 3 settings. You can do erg,
Yeah.
no nothing, and then terrain. And so if you go
Okay.
up a hill on a workout and you're not on erg, you'll get the gradient and you'll do the interval on the gradient. And if you go down a hill, you'll have that, even though your interval says to keep the power up. I believe that that's what that is. I could be wrong, but that's like that feature already exists in another game.
This is just.
I think what happened with some of these is Zwift fired so many people, and then they brought in new people, and they're like, we need to come up with great ideas for this Zwift Labs. And someone was like, who's never been in Zwift was like, Fondos. People love Fondos. But Zwift has been holding monthly Fondos for like 6 years.
I have like 9 or 10 Zwift Fondo jerseys of like December, January, February, March. They've done for years.
So they're going to
They did
Zwift
it
Lab
first.
testing Fondos?
Yeah.
Like,
These events will embrace the diverse groups of cyclists that participate. I think it's just now of like, it's part of the lab so that they can keep doing new versions of them instead of just doing an event.
apparently
it's part
on
of
the
the
feedback
incubation of
on
stuff.
this one,
Ah.
the feedback was everyone loved it. Everyone loved getting
Beat the
chased by
bots?
bots. But apparently,
But we have
though,
chase races.
yeah, we had
That's what I
chase
don't
races.
get.
But people like
I
chasing.
heard that people never saw the bots because they just rode
No,
away from it.
that was one thing, is the bots were not fast enough, and the lead was too big. 14 minutes. People apparently were like, the bots were like 10 minutes behind. And there's a lot more other things that need to happen, because no one even knew where the bots were, because you could only see a certain amount of people on the list on the side.
Why don't
Like,
you
there should be
chase
a
a
big
bot?
thing like bots.
Why don't they
5
chase the
minutes
bots?
back?
And you get confetti when you reach the bot.
Chase
I'd
the
rather
bot.
chase
Oh,
than
why am
be
I?
chased.
Yeah. Why am I even? This is Zwift Lab ideas, man. I've got so many. I just don't
This
even.
actually-
I had one already in this episode, and I didn't say
actually
it.
wouldn't
I just was like,
mind
you know what?
this.
Just
The
put it away.
RoboFacer?
Well, for the Alp to Zwift, because pacing, especially up if you're doing like a PR, like I have not gone under 60 minutes on the Alp to Zwift. I've made attempts. I think my best time is like 62. This I would actually probably use if I could turn on a bot that said, if you follow me, you will get under 60.
Which would be what? I think it's 3-ish watts, 3.2
Like
watts per kilogram.
3.2 right on the dot.
You get the draft.
I don't think you'd get a draft. Yeah, maybe. You probably.
Oh, bots are.
So
The holographic is not a bot.
So
No,
why
this is
not
an
just
actual bot.
The robot is a draft, right?
Yeah, it'd be like a Coco going up the Alp.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
what I'd rather have for what you're talking about, Lee, is just something I create myself, and I'm thinking more of the Hollow Rider. Just rather than the Hollow Rider only being past performances, let me pop open the window and say, set me a Hollow Rider at 3.2.
Or you don't even need that really for pacing. You should just be able to input a number and say, I'm trying to go for 60 minutes. And it'll say you're +5 or -5 on this time, because I can pace myself. I just need to know, like, am I close? Or, because too with pacing is I'm not trying to like blow 60 out of the water. I want to come in at 59 just to say I did an Alp under 60. So I'm trying to just like not extend myself and just get that, number.
I know whenever a few years ago when I was climbing the Alp with Doc a lot, he'd get sidetracked chatting and doing whatever he does on his stream. And I was literally his pace partner up the Alp. Like if I'd get 10 seconds ahead of him, I'd say, hey, pay attention. Then he'd catch up. So that, just like you're saying, yeah, that would be really good. If you're going for a specific time, you could set it and be, hey, this is what I want to do, or this is my
Can't you
goal,
just
or whatever.
pace yourself? You need a
No.
robot?
Yeah, I need a robot.
You need a visual cue to
Well,
pace
and in
yourself.
And in this scenario, it's not even a robot that you can set. Like, you've got to go find the event that's got the robot in it and hope
Well,
that
see,
robot's
that's what-
riding the
yeah.
pace that you want it to ride. So, like, to me,
Yeah.
this is
All
not
right, so if
really
they
that
spent
fun.
all the dev on Repack Rush to make your bot climb the Alp, would you use it all the time? Or would you use it once and it'd be gone?
No, you'd only use it for like a personal record attempt, and where you're trying to meet a certain pace. And that's the only time. It's going to be used once a year.
Well, I don't know how many people climb the Alp, but it seems like every time I go there, there's people on the Alp. So it might be
want
a useful
more.
feature.
I want more than what you guys are wanting.
I think what Casey and Zav
You
are
guys
saying
are
about.
settling. This is the market leader. The
I don't
most
ride
subscribers.
the
How
Alp.
much
no,
funding?
this
Hold on a
lift is
second. How
out.
much funding did we break down for them?
What was it,
400
And
620 million?
we're debating a robot to pull you up a climb.
Oh yeah,
Give me a break.
No, we've had this discussion before. Like, we were talking about the cost of a AAA game. The average cost for a game developer is $100 million. And Zwift has received, in 2020, they received 450 million, and they've received more since
based
then.
on the reports, based on the internet reports.
So, I mean, they could have taken a very small chunk of that $450 million and literally in the
Made your
background,
robot.
well, they could have built a Zwift 2.0.
If they would have
And
put it on Unreal Engine like MyWhoosh, you know, if they would have got that funding and like Zavarus is saying, taken a chunk of it and be like, hey, you guys build this, well, our current Zwift but on Unreal Engine, I think that would have been a huge win for Zwift instead of this spaghetti code that they have.
And
Because he has Zavarus has the numbers. I forget what you said it was.
Hold on a second. Hold on, I gotta jump in.
Oh
Okay,
man.
you guys think this is for the audience and everybody. You guys think if Zwift looked better,
no,
it would be worth what it's worth right now?
I
You
think
think
Zwift looks okay.
just making it look better,
no,
not the features and not giving us a bunch of stuff we don't ask for.
it's not about looking better. It's about creating underlying software architecture that you could hire way more developers off the street to progress the game quicker for stupid little things like, I want a timer that I can set my own time up the Alp. I don't want a robot. I just want a timer. That should be implemented like done, implemented. The problem with Zwift software is it's a custom engine.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's where that's
you're
my thought
you're not
was.
going to Unreal for environments and routes and
no,
more
you're
roads.
going
It's more
because
like,
there's probably 15,000 software developers
pulling
that are
plugins and
experts at
APIs.
Unreal.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay, I got it. I got
making
it.
Zwift is
development easier.
essentially your Pontiac Fiero with the Lamborghini conversion. It looks great.
Okay, it looks like a Lamborghini, but under the hood,
Yeah.
it's the
and then we're
Fiero.
like Indy Velo. It looks like a Fiero, but it's a Ferrari on the inside.
For the
See what I mean?
for
It's
the
the reverse.
non-initiated on the old Pontiac Fiero, this is an American car. It was like highly flammable. Like it would have engine fires. So
Yeah. It's
Brian's
horrible
analogy
vehicle.
is, hey, let's make it look like a Lamborghini with a kit, like put the body on it that looks like a Lamborghini.
It had the same wheelbase as the Testarossa or whatever. So it was a
Testarossa,
perfect
like
fit.
a Ferrari. Yeah. But it was essentially prone to engine fires. So yeah.
So the one thing you guys aren't talking about, these are all the things Zwift is telling you they're doing. What about those little nuggets they're not telling us they're doing that we're picking up on? I don't know if anybody else has picked up on a few things I think have changed recently. Like, I raced with Lucas a week ago. I can super tuck down a hill, and Lucas can stay behind me at 4.5 watts per kilogram and not pass me. That's how fast I am in a super tuck now. I won my ladder race.
Yes.
I sprinted over the top of Box Hill. The kicker, the guy let up right at the peak of the hill. I sprinted until I could super tuck, super tucked, I hardly pedaled the whole way down the hill. I pulled like a 30-second gap on this dude on the descent,
Yeah,
on the
that is
super
true.
tuck. Lucas couldn't pass me doing
Wait a minute.
FTP behind
Wait a
me
minute.
when I was super tucked.
Okay, this has intrigued me because this is physics.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what they should be putting in this thing for me. I want to see that. I want people to tell me that. I haven't been on Zwift in about 3 weeks because I already know it does what it does, and I'm not getting more from it. I don't care about XP. I don't care about any of this other stuff. That intrigues me.
Because I left that dude
hey,
behind, and I knew
yeah.
it was happening because when I rode
Momentum
with
is better.
Lucas, well, when I
Or
rode with Lucas,
aerodynamics
we
and
couldn't figure
momentum
it
seem to be
out.
better.
Yeah, we couldn't figure it out because Lucas is like I'm not passing yet, and I was just super tucked on the front. Like he would finally come around me. He'd come around me for a couple seconds, and I'd sprint again, and I'd jump around him and super tuck, and I'd stay in front of him for 10, 15 seconds when he's holding 4.5, 5 watts per kilo.
That is the reason why I quit ZRL.
Yeah.
Because I would, it's really hard for lightweight people to on downhills and flats and everything.
Now,
it is harder to go up a hill than it is to go down a hill and to stay flat.
I will say,
prove me wrong. It's
both
hard.
of those.
So let me finish this diatribe here. My heart rate and my power output is completely red or in threshold going up a hill. To then let off the power to then get momentum to recover from that effort for a larger individual was the thing I always wanted. And now you're telling me it's here in 2024.
Yeah. Yeah. If you go to the front. Now, I don't know if it'll do that in a race. Both of those were kind of odd events that probably didn't have a race, because remember the super tuck works differently in different types of events. And in free
riding, it doesn't really work. And
So-
then racing, it works.
The event with Lucas, I think I don't know what it was. It was a longer race, so it might have been a Fondo-ish kind of thing. It may not have been categorized as a race. And the event with the ladder race was a custom built event. So I don't know if it would have had race dynamics or if it would have had regular.
When did this happen with Lucas? And was this before the ladder race? And so you use this strategy in the ladder race?
I knew before with Lucas. I don't remember the exact timing, but Lucas and I just rode like a week or so ago together, and he absolutely killed me up the hill. But then going down the hill, he's like, just let me pull you. And he was pulling, and I would sprint around him to get a little draft, just to slingshot a little bit here and there. And then all of a sudden, like I super tucked, and I'm like, why aren't you passing me? And I look down, he's going 4.5. So in the ladder race, the dude I was racing up the hill was super light, and my concern was he'd drop me going up. And we got to the top, and if you guys have ever watched me team time trial, right, it's the hill isn't over until you're back up to speed. I'm always accelerate. That dude hit the top and backed off the gas, and I knew he was dead. He was done, because I just held about 5.0 until I saw 36 miles an hour, and I stopped, and it went from 1, 2, 3, halfway down the hill. I had a 15-second gap. And he kept trying to go 4.5 behind me and going nowhere.
How's that on a front page?
Right. And I know
want
it's
that.
a change. It's a change. And there's also this one was more subtle, but there was something different in the steering in the last team time trial that I did. We were all steering. We all had steering on, but we were moving, and we weren't. I'd be like, I said it to one of the guys early in the race. I'm like, hold still at the front, because we were doing this little snake thing, and I'm like, stay still. And then I got to the front, and my dude was moving, and I'm like, I'm not touching the buttons. What the hell's going on here? And you started watching that race, and we were moving a lot more. We had steering activated, but we weren't steering, and the guys were moving around a lot more. So it's like the auto steer part of steering has changed. Because if you were on the front, it wasn't moving.
All right. Homework.
Yeah, that
Brian.
was the biggest thing that you said when I first did my first steering thing. He's like, do not steer. It causes chaos. Just ride.
If you're on the front, you don't want people chasing you, right? You pick a line.
All
you
steering
stay where
people
you're at.
or some steering?
Yeah, all steering.
That was messing up.
We were all steering. which
So
is why I
everything
yelled at him, because I was like sitting like seventh wheel
so it
looking
wasn't a bug,
forward.
it's more of a you're just
And
moving
it was
around too much.
snaking. So I yelled at him and nobody really responded. So I thought that was the end of it. But then I got on the front and I noticed my guy was moving. So then I started watching it a little more. And I said, then I'd be like, hey, Dan, did you just steer? He's like, no, I haven't touched him. And I'm like, okay. And he was moving.
So is that a bug with the snaky thing, or is it? What would it be if it was a feature?
To me, I think they're constantly trying to refine the auto steering portion of the steering, right? If you don't steer at all, it still steers for you.
Yeah.
When you have the steering turned on. So I think it's them trying to finesse the auto steer a little bit.
In Indy Velo, we call it technical positioning, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I think is the better term instead of steering, because you're really just positioning yourself on the rails. It's like moving around in a train. Like if for people that are not seeing what we're talking about, but like if you visualize yourself in a train that has seats across 3 on one side and 3 on the other side, you can sit on either side of the train. You're going to get around a corner. You're going to have the distance for you sitting on the inside chair will be less than the outside chair if you're going on a right-hand turn, right? So that's instead of being like, oh, I'm steering, I can just turn wherever I want. That's not exactly what's happening. So yeah,
I hope what they're trying to do there is to fix the half steering, half not steering team thing.
Yeah.
Because if you're a non-steerer on a steering team, it's terrible.
It is.
No matter what the steerers try to do, Zwift auto steers you in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Zwift cannot grab a wheel properly when you have a mix of steering and non-steering in those, and it's terrible.
All right, we're about almost 2 hours in.
Yeah.
That was way longer than we kept going, which is good. Brian's is gone. He's already asleep. No, he's back. Oh, he's back. Oh, Mr.
We
Mr.
went
I
a lot
want
longer. I had to go walk my dog, if you know what I mean.
Oh, there you go. A bio break, as we call it in the industry. That's it. Casey, anything final thoughts?
No, thanks for having me. I'm not sure how much I'll be around. I'm leaving for a 2-week jaunt in the camper after next Sunday. So
okay,
well, better get that MyWhoosh ride in. Experience that good.
I'll get the MyWhoosh, and I don't know if I'll probably take a bike. I'm taking a bike. I'm not sure if I'll take a trainer or not, but I may be Zwift only when I'm traveling. I'm not sure what I'll take.
We need to get a couple Biketerra streams.
Biketerra.
I'm going to do a Biketerra stream probably tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm going to test the Peloton as well. So
we're going to dial in all our PCs and browsers and be like, it works. The best browser to use it on is this. So
how many different apps can Brian White run at the same time?
4.
How much quadruple dipping?
You could probably do 4.
I could do.
And plus can do as many as he wants. So he can do one. His main one will be Bluetooth, and then he'll do Biketerra, Zwift, because he never does elevation in Zwift. He just wants XP.
Yeah.
Indy Velo.
Have a speaker for life.
And then
I could do Power Meter. So I got 2 there.
Good.
So I think
Trainer.
4.
You could do Trainer Road group FTPs.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Group FTP test. And that's it.
All
yeah.
Right.
We were talking about, I don't know if it was on stream or off stream, Scott. It was about the Peloton kind of world, if they were just classes or what. And I actually have a friend who does the live, goes to live things for the Peloton. So she's very knowledgeable on it. They have a complete different side to the training like we are used to, and then the class like you would think like raw the live stuff. Christian Vandervelt is one of the cycling power like zones, and the way she talks about it, you could tell all she does is the class spin class style stuff. And the power zone things, that's its own little bubble, kind of like our bubble. So within Peloton, you have 2 different, I guess, worlds. And she said kind of like the power people stay in the power classes, and then the spin class, like she does, stays in that little bubble. But I was like, I'll give him a shot. She's actually coming here this week. So we'll see.
You're going to try out a Peloton?
I'm going to try. You can do it off your app. Like she said,
yeah.
So I'm going to give it a shot. Just out of curiosity, see what it is. But yeah,
put it in the quadruple dipping.
Yeah.
I want to see if you can get yelled at for joining the 2.0, group class and riding 3.0. Right?
Ooh.
Yeah. I want
Getting
to get
yelled
called
at.
out for. Yeah.
Be like, I'm really good. All right. You ready? Let's get out of here.
All
Final
right.
thoughts?
Hey,
That's it? It was a good show. 2-hour show.
Yeah,
that was
thanks for
great. It
having
did
me.
not seem like 2 hours.
Well, it's because you brought all that wealth of MyWhoosh knowledge to knock out like the first hour. All that homework.
Hey.
New homework for you is find out when they started testing this downhill thing that Casey's saying that you can do with the tuck. See if they're like, hey, are you guys working on that stuff? Hit your boy James Bailey up.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting about the steering. I'm really curious.
Steering too. That I think that sounds like a bug to me, but it could be
I don't know.
something. I think it is. I do think it's two things. I think it is they're fine tuning the non-steerers with the steerers to try to optimize that. But I think the snaky thing is not something they want, and it's just happening. So
Yeah, that's the chaos that Casey wanted to avoid that whenever.
We were on London, and London does have those spots in the steering where it rips
Yeah.
you from the left to the right side of the road, because I think it thinks you're right hand drive in the intersection and left hand drive on the regular road or something, and it yanks you all over the place.
And speaking of steering bugs, you know how France, I think it was Everest, was saying, you kept moving to the middle. Well, they fixed that moving to the middle or left or whatever, but they didn't fix where you can go to the right side of the road. You only have the left half in a lane. You still can't get to the right side of the road in France.
Yeah, it's like the lane is this wide.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a random special thing about Zwift we all love.
yeah.
Special.
All right. You ready? Play the music.
All right, guys.
Let's get out of here. Bye.
See ya.